Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sing Your War Song Christian page. My name is Michael Winkleman. I'm the author of the book Sing Your War Song Christian. And today we're doing a video as part of the Gadite Corner series. The Gadite Corner is based off of 1 Chronicles 12:8, where it speaks of the Gadites. It says they were mighty and experienced warriors, expert with shield and spear, whose faces were like the faces of lions, and who were swift as gazelles upon the mountains. And so this series of videos is geared for those who understand that the Christian call to love may call them to violence. Sounds extreme, but this video will help explain that. The Christian's call to love may call them to violence. And so whether they understand that call professionally, as law enforcement, security, first responders, military, or as neighbors and as citizens, as fathers and mothers and protectors of those they love and the neighbors that they are called to protect and love. They understand this call, and therefore we must be like Gadites in this call. If we understand it and we seek to pursue it, we must be mighty, experienced, expert with whatever tools are of our age, and we must be like lions, and we must be fit as gazelles. And this is all under the covering of spiritual discipline. We must be disciplined spiritually first and foremost, fully committed and submitted to the Lord's sovereignty in our lives. The Spirit would fight against our flesh and carry us into this. And so I want to dive into the question, when would Christian love call a Christian to violence? Sounds counterintuitive, sounds like a false dichotomy, but it's actually of the Bible and it's of truth. So we are going to go to Luke 10. Luke 10, a lawyer confronts Jesus and says, "What shall I do to inherit eternal life?" This is Luke 10:25, and it goes down through 37. It goes into the Good Samaritan teaching. I'm paraphrasing, but I would encourage you to go there and seek the word yourself. But essentially, Jesus says, to fulfill the law, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And you must love your neighbor as yourself. And it is our love for neighbor, that may drive us to commit acts of violence on behalf of our neighbor. For if you go to 1 Corinthians, it is 13 verse 7. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is a very powerful message on the true nature of love. And it says that in verse 7, love bears all things. The New International Version states that love always protects. So this word bears or protects is the Greek word stego, and it literally means to be like a deck or thatch, a covering, to cover, to protect or to preserve something. Some translations will say it suffers all things. It suffers on behalf of others. But at its root meaning, it means to be a protector, to protect. Love always protects. That's why I love the NIV version when you go into the Greek. So love always protects. So if we are called to love our neighbor, we are called to protect our neighbor. And the teacher, the lawyer, asked Jesus, well, who was our neighbor? And he goes into the Good Samaritan teaching. And if you know that teaching, the ultimate lesson is, even those you may consider your enemy in society, they are still your neighbor, and you are called to show them mercy. All right? So even those that despise you, who hate you, who revile you, if they are vulnerable, if someone is attacking them, you are still called by God to reveal His love by protecting them, by showing them mercy. So understand, Christian, that if you are to commit an act of violence, love should be what drives you. Love and love alone, the love of God. Just as the Lord is a warrior and the Lord is love, so we are called to be warriors, and we are called to fulfill God's call to love. It should not be vengeance. It should not be hate or a sense of retaliation. That is of the flesh. That is of our pride. We must seek the Lord to suppress those feelings. We must only be driven by love. Love drives us to protect our neighbor. And our neighbor could be someone who absolutely hates us, but the Lord still calls us to reveal his love by protecting them. Just as Christ protected us from the judgment of hellfire by bearing the penalty of the cross on our behalf, though we hated him, so we must be willing to give our lives for those that hate and revile us. This is the call of the Christian. So remember, Christian, in your call to protect, which may call you to act in violence, it is only to protect your neighbor in love. So in your daily walk, seek the Lord, seek his Spirit to guide you, that he would lead you in love with each and every day. God's love must be what drives you in every decision, but especially in this. That way we don't fall into the temptation of our flesh, the temptation of sinful and prideful revenge or hate. It must be love. May love drive you to act. May love drive you to the fight, if that is what the Lord calls you to do. So be a Gadite. Be disciplined in what you do. Seek training spiritually, mentally, physically. Sing your war song and be prepared to protect your neighbor in love.